Let us continue with our next unit in cloud computing, and this is the last unit basically, and it is Introduction to Hybrid Cloud, and the subtopic we consider today is Hybrid Cloud Management. So basically hybrid cloud is a combination of your traditional IT environment and the private and public and the managed services. There are many cloud service providers who are basically providing this hybrid cloud management. Google also provides, AWS provides, so there are various cloud service providers. Basically Netflix, Hulu, Uber and there are various other services like Airbnb which are dependent on hybrid cloud basically because of its features of on-demand computing, pay-per-use and heavy storage. So these are some of the applications of hybrid cloud. Let us see more about this. So let's first see the outline. We'll define what a hybrid cloud means. Then we'll see the architecture of the hybrid cloud. Then we'll see the key connection points which are very significant. And then let us see the foundational services followed by certain assignments specific to this topic. So as I told you, hybrid cloud is basically an environment that integrates the traditional IT with a combination of public, private or managed cloud services. So it's basically a combination of all this. That is why the word integrates has been used. So hybrid cloud becomes basically a virtual computing environment that may combine several services in a public cloud. So there are various services that can be combined in a virtual cloud computing environment, and these services are basically from a combination of environments, and this is basically combined to deliver the best or the right service level and flexibility basically to meet the emerging customer requirements. So all these basically services are needed to be managed as though they were designed to behave as a single unified environment. Though there are different backgrounds, different architectures, different elements at the back, but still it gives a view to the user as though it is a single unified environment. Basically it is designed to give a single unified environment. So this is basically an architecture where you can see you have public, private, you have the third party cloud service providers, and you have the enterprise cloud data center. So under the public cloud you basically have various compute services that are included, data services, storage services, platform services and management services. Basically these are also under private cloud. So these are commonly for services for public as well as private. Then you basically have a combination of third party cloud service provider. Basically data services are given as a contract to the third party service providers, and then you have the enterprise data center basically where it's having the line of business apps, transactional systems, enterprise security management and basically R&D systems basically, or R&D focuses on exploring more of research in the enterprise data center. So this you can see diagram which is showing you a hybrid cloud is basically a combination of your private cloud and public cloud and the various other traditional IT, integration of traditional IT and managed services is basically not shown, but it is a combination of all these together. So there are 6 key connection points basically, and these basically enable technologies to be put in order or to be put in a specific place in order to enable a hybrid cloud. So basically a hybrid cloud can operate the changing business requirements. So it is basically needed because the business requirements keep changing every now and then. So these are some of the few listed points here, like you have the integration, the data localization, the operational visibility and management, the security services, DevOps. DevOps is basically a combination of development and IT operations, software development and IT operations, and then portability. So we will see more about these points in the forthcoming slides. So integration services are basically needed for data across one own company and with partner data and public data services. So the integration of these services is very important. That is, you need to integrate data across one's own company and with partner data and public data sources. Like for example, you have a social media data, that is like you have a Twitter or a Facebook, and you have a third party, that is you want to combine the weather company or the US Census Bureau data with these particular social apps. So there you need a combined integration services specifically with the internal data sources. So this is a combination where US weather company is basically trying to throw their weather data on the Facebook. So it is an integration of US weather company and the Facebook. Now, in addition to incorporating managed data services like pricing services and or credit card checking services, basically, or credit checking services it's also called as, can provide consistency across various applications and help companies to meet customer requirements for a speed of delivery. So customer basically demands a appropriate service and a fast service. So to meet all those requirements, a kind of integration service can be provided to the customer. So basically integration of data and processes, they need to be seamless across various mobile developments, deployment areas, public and private clouds, and also traditional data center environments. So it has to be seamless across various environments. Otherwise, a user can track and find out that there is some issue with it. Then having the ability basically to analyze this data in real or very near to real time can improve the insight about customers and how to grow the business or the way the business grows. So basically you have to have the ability to analyze the data in real or very near to real time, so you can get to know who are your customers, and basically that will help in improving the business. Then you have the data localization services. Basically some of the companies want data to be managed locally, so they can easily look after the performance and the manageability required. So importance of locally managed is they can improve the performance and manageability required. So in some cases there isn't a requirement basically to broadly share the data. At times they do not need to share the data very broadly. So in such situations basically security and compliance requirements, they dictate the need for data localization. In addition, there are various European countries and many other countries basically who have very strict governance rules which define where the private data can be sent. So they have basically categorized that this is a low architecture secured environment, and that is a high secured architecture environment. So you need to keep track where your data flows. So like for example, a company needs to indicate not only where the data is stored but also which countries, as I told you, the data has passed. At times the security levels of some countries are very low. So if you send your data there, it could have many breaches. So one has to be very careful. Then operational visibility and management. Basically here a customer that leverages services basically has no interest in what happens behind the scenes. Customers are not interested basically. They are just interested in what sort of services that are offered and how they will operate, how consistently they operate and also how predictable the services are. So a hybrid cloud can't work without the capability to manage all these elements of the environment as though they were a single unified environment. So hybrid cloud has to have the appropriate capacity basically to manage all these. Also operational visibility to make sure that all processes, data and services are working as designed. So they have to manage the things in such a manner to see that the processes, data and services are working as they were designed to work for. So it must be able to basically monitor these services so that there is a clear visibility, so that the entire environment basically can be controlled in a predictable manner. So if it is controlled appropriately, as per the design, if it is working, then the services will run appropriately and they can predict better results. So services that are owned and controlled by the third party public cloud vendors or managed service providers. So workload management, basically this is a very foundational, very foundational to the cloud. A data center is basically designed to manage the applications in a cloud, and it is basically intended to manage a pool of resources. Data center has many resources, so that is termed as a pool of resources, and this needs to be managed appropriately, and which is basically precise. It sounds like a set of shared configured services that are independent of the physical location. So wherever they are placed, basically they can operate appropriately as per the need of the customer and the cloud service provider. So in many situations it happens so that the cloud service provider creates a multi-tenant environment, basically that is going to have various customers from various other organizations whose data is put together in the multi-tenant environment, and that is basically to supply or support the deployment of these resources for the supply of the various services. So multi-tenant tenancy environment basically enables the sharing of service, which I told you various customers are there and they are going to use that service together, and the data is going to be stored together in the same environment, and but they are going to be separated of course. So by taking data and configurations of the individual customers separate. So storage resources are basically pooled together from various physical systems to create a set of resources. So pooling is going to be happening, and from various physical systems it's basically going to pool together, and that is pooled basically to create a system of resources. Customers don't need to know which storage system basically they are accessing or where the basically data is stored. They just need to have an interface to access their data. So managing security is another key point, and this is very important. We've discussed many security issues here. So let us discuss with respect to hybrid cloud management. So even in hybrid cloud management, security needs to be managed in conjunction with the visibility and control. They need to have appropriate visibility and control to the various security services that are provided even in hybrid environment. So it is almost managed based on open governance model. So there is basically an open governance model, which is basically very standard kind of model, and all are basically following this model, because of which it becomes very easy to manage the visibility. So therefore a comprehensive approach to security is required, so that you ensure all the intersection or interaction points in the hybrid environment are tightly controlled. So it could be interaction point and intersection points also, so which they need to be tightly controlled, so that the security is well managed. So a requirement to make sure that the only authorized individuals are able to access or allowed to access and change the data. So this is a basic requirement in security. So security is an essential component of the unified architecture for a hybrid cloud. So it is a major significant component, and if it is engaged in the services of the architecture, it will always be considered as good. So if you have many different services, you basically need a consistent and predictable way to manage the security, even if your cloud environment changes. So security changes with respect to the cloud environment also. So initially the security provided by the distributed server was different. Now in the cloud, new issues come up, new breaches come up. So security changes with the technology also. So the increase in connection points basically adds a multitude of vulnerabilities. As the integration points, or there are many points where an integration takes place, you need to secure the system properly, as you have multitude of vulnerabilities, and basically in all the applications and the overall IT environment. So it is basically hard for the companies to keep abreast of the changing security risk. Environment changes, the risks change, the breaches change, so one needs to be aware of all. So cloud-based development platform, basically if they have built-in security services, this will be very useful for adding better security. So you have a built-in security in the architecture, then extra security becomes an added advantage. So when the hybrid cloud infrastructure is designed with a built-in security infrastructure, you need less experienced professional, and they'll be able to manage safely the entire environment, because major things are integrated in the architecture or the infrastructure. Let us see about DevOps. Basically, DevOps has focused on continuous development and operations in hybrid cloud, and I told you DevOps is basically a word combination of IT development, software development and IT operations. So development DEV and operations OPS. So it's basically a new dynamic model, development model that basically needs to be optimized for hybrid cloud. You have cloud ops also. We'll be discussing about cloud ops soon. So the benefits of hybrid environment is basically to help companies quickly compose modern applications and access the data needed to support these applications. So hybrid environment has a lot of benefits, and this will help companies to quickly compose modern applications and access the data that is needed to support all such applications. So consistency of outcomes becomes a priority basically to support the needs of the customer. So outcomes are going to be very consistent, and of course it might change with respect to the customers also, but it is basically a priority to support the needs of the customer. So many companies are basically adopting platform as a service, and this is basically in order to develop and operate applications in a consistent and predictable way. So organizations need a single unified way to manage and synchronize applications and data across public and private clouds. Like for example, you need a single federated catalog and operations console for public and private PaaS. So when you're using PaaS, you basically need a single federated catalog and operations console for managing things. Now portability and modularity is very important basically. Organizations demand flexibility, and these are very important basically for flexibility, and they change the needs. The change with respect to the operation and the need to standardize for portability is important. So basically to change based on the new business model. Changes happen, flexibility is expected because to change the new business models, you need to move to an environment that supports portability and modularity. This is basically to see that whenever there is a change, it is easy to port the data and the applications. So portability allows application code to be easily moved from one environment to the other. As I told you, portability basically focuses from moving code from one environment to another. So with emerging standards and open technology, you become less dependent on one implementation of a cloud and gain interoperability no matter which vendor services you are using. So there are various emerging standards and open technology. So you become less dependent, or you are not vendor locked in basically, less dependent on a single implementation, and you can port your cloud code to other cloud as well. So you can gain interoperability without depending on a specific vendor. So foundational service, there are various foundational services that are instrumental for establishing portability and modularity. They are containerization technology and OpenStack. There are various, but we are discussing only two. So that is containerization technology and OpenStack environment. So containerization technology, basically containers are techniques to package an application or services including its dependencies so that it can run in any Linux environment. So it is basically focusing on packaging the services or the applications and all the dependencies together to see that it runs on any Linux environment. So in an essence, a container creates an encapsulation for a set of logic and data. So it combines or encapsulates the set of logic and data, and with this approach it is basically possible to build microservices. So microservice is basically a well-defined service that can be used to execute a service in many different environments. So when a group of microservices are combined together, they basically create a new application service, and because the microservice uses the same container encapsulation services, portability is well assured in such environment. Now OpenStack environment, basically it's an emerging standard and is another critical element basically for creating portability within a cloud environment. So OpenStack is an open source cloud operating system, very common for cloud, and more than 500 companies, or now it would be more also, more than 500 basically, have joined this project, and a number of services have been built, tested and deployed by many of the participants. So these services which are built are networking, storage, identity management, orchestration, compute and database. So these are the services that are basically managed under OpenStack environment. So companies that adhere to OpenStack agreed on specifications can move workloads across a variety of clouds that support OpenStack services. So whoever are adhering to OpenStack, they have agreed on certain specifications because of which movement of workloads from one cloud to the other becomes very easy in OpenStack services. These are the assignments for today. Just have a look at it specific to this topic. So if you have any query, you can contact me at this specific email ID, and we are done for today. Thank you.